Quadro is coined from the mathematical subject matter quadratic equation that is offered in the K-12 program of the Department of Education in spiral manner. Thus, it's engaged basically by the junior high school and the senior high school mathematics learner. And from the verb throw, that signifies the main motor do procedure of the game. It as well creates another means of innovation that implies somehow of a level up in a game adventure. The conception of quadro is credited to inspiration and amazement on the introduction of Damat game in the mathematical world that is straightforwardly drawn from the Dama game for the Filipinos. It is powered accordingly by the common knowledge on how games heighten interest in mathematics, banking on that playing games encourages strategic mathematical thinking as students and different strategies for solving problems and deepen their understanding of numbers. When played repeatedly, games support students' development of computational fluency. Interestingly, it is more likely patterned from one of the all-time favorite board games in all ages in any occasion, that is the Snake and Ladder, where excitements and strategies that measure guarantee satisfaction somehow prevails eagerness to completely reach 100. The last style governed by the context of twice by itself as the quadratic rule, creating further imposition in learning such skill as one of the challenging competencies in all grade levels, thus underscore the importance of taking the ways and means of taking such challenge purposefully. Further, quadro is anchored on the following objectives. First, to reroute the interest of the children from digital to interpersonal engagements among others. Second, to vary learning on the difficulties of the competencies and corresponding codes, and we have to refer Appendix A, that caters enjoyments and absorptions in other way around. Thirdly, to provide emphasis on different strokes for different folks that pertains differentiated learning styles. The fourth one is to promote resourcefulness, innovativeness, and sportsmanship by all means. To value and incorporate Filipino culture, traditions, and practices in the present challenging society. And the last one is number 6, we have to empower math success through games that is mind-body connection, reaching learners at all levels, academic growth, and developing passion for math. And here is the actual board game of what we call quadro. And let's now have the mechanics. And here are the mechanics of the game. First, the materials shall all be ready for the game. Those materials are the dice, the stop clock, the score sheet, the coin, the chips, and the solving sheets. Like any other board games, that is chess, checker, and dama, there shall only be 2 players needed. The tossing of the coin shall be the basis as to whom shall take the first turn to start the game. The players shall throw the first 2 die against the board game and shall hear the implications of each dice. The uses and applications of the 2 die shall be put into emphasis. The color codes or indicators of dice could help. The first dice represents the 4 categories in simplifying or solving quadratic equations. Consider only the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the dice. When it reveals number 5, the current player may choose category 1 or 2. When it's 6, may choose category 3 or 4. Here are the aforementioned 4 categories in simplifying or solving quadratic equations. The first category, square root property. Second, factoring method. Third, completing the square. And the fourth, the quadratic formula. The second dice represents item, number in the prepared list of equations for the player to solve. Consider all the numbers in the dice. Well, there shall be sets of equations solvable by each category, itemized accordingly, formulated and researched by the in-charge that shall secure the equations as guaranteed, non-biased, and new in every game to play on as per supervised before the game starts. The highlighted edge in the board shall be known as the point of origin that basically subdivides the board into 4 quadrants. These shall serve as the descriptors of the position of the player at point in time, which shall be tallied as well in the score sheet. The players shall take turn for the game progression until end. They shall throw, compute, and move their chips onward. Since 2 solutions are expected, then the opponent player shall toss the coin for the current player to determine the movement of the chips and consider the following. First, the head. This implies the greater number or solution to follow. Second, the tail. This implies as well the lesser number or solution to follow. Fractions shall be rounded off. The movement of the chips shall start at the first tile, numbered as 1, which shall observe the occurrences of the color pairings and the animal pictures. The color pairings and the animal pictures shall correspond to the placement of the players on the tile as per represented by the chips, and shall be treated as follows. The color pairings mean acceleration or going up or the advantages. The animal pictures mean deceleration, the going down, and the disadvantages. Every end of the turn, the last taker shall stop the provided watch or clock. There could be assigned timekeeper for the game. The game shall last for 1 hour, and every category shall consume the corresponding minutes as below. Category 1, 12 minutes for 2 minutes per player. The same with category 2. Category 3, 18 minutes, 3 minutes per player. The same with category 4. The total score shall be deducted by the exceeding time, that is 0.25 or 25 hundredths point per 5 seconds. Wrong solutions shall be deducted as well by 1 point. The facilitator shall provide the hints to the players after presenting the final solution, whether the player gets the right answer or not. That is, whenever the answer is wrong as per presented by the current player, still factors given to opponent that somehow give the advantage. Next, the status of the players shall be deliberated by the game facilitator for just 10 minutes before the pronouncements of the winners. The use of the calculator or cell phones and any other means shall not be allowed. The scores of the players shall be tallied through the last tile number they locate. Consideration to the accumulated deductions in the game span and be considered as final score. The winners or the winner shall be declared after reaching tile 100 or the closest to it as time ceases. Default system shall be observed. Decisions of the facilitators are final and non-negotiable. By the way, I'd like to share as well the mechanics related views for consideration. First one, we have some parts of the mechanics are applicable to tournament only, just like in the case of the math event in the conduct of Math Olympics at any level. Also, some of the parts as well are subject for contextualization according to needs, that is for subject enrichment and remediation, for learners' inclination check, and for subject enjoyment and leisure. The length of time in each category, when there could have been the so-called open time that allows the players, the learners, discover more about the processes of the introduced ways in simplifying quadratic equation. The use of stop clock when there could have been no time pressure as the progression of the game is on. The provisions on the giving of points could be better and developed. Those are the things that you have to consider for changes in as much as applicable and needed. This time I'd like to share to you all about the score sheet. Well, to earn corresponding points with the aid of the score sheet, the player has to complete the table as necessary. He has to indicate the equation taken from the list as shown in the second dice and solve for it in the provided sheets of paper at the required number of minutes. He has to write his final answer in the table and the solutions or required answers adjacent to the equation. And in a while, the checking of the solution takes place where the progression of the game depends. The status or the tile number or the quadrant number is filled out after observing mechanic item number 14. The title number is in accordance to the mechanic item number 17 and is the sole indicator of the player's status as winner or loser. And here is the origin I referred a while back. This is helpful in locating yourself as a player in the score sheet. These somehow integrate knowledge in Cartesian coordinate plane. Imagine we have first quadrant, second quadrant, third and fourth quadrant. See it? The origin I referred is the one that has the highlighted red color marker. In progression, like the routine in snake and ladder, the player has to step on every tile as indicated in the die after computing and validating the correct answer. So from here, tile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until tile number 100. Just try to review that quadratic equation results two solutions. So to determine which one to take in, the player has to toss the coin. If head, this one, the greater solution shall be followed. If tail, this one, the lesser one. The help of the coin is essential. For example, the solutions are 5 and 3 after using the category mentioned a while back. 5 and 3. So 5 is greater than 3. So if one has taken the toss of the coin and got the head, so the player would be having 5 to take in. Otherwise, if tail, so he has to take, if the player step on the color codes, then he would accelerate. For instance, if on red like this, then locate the other red on the board, which is this one. There's no way from here, from 91 to 71. Instead, it's 71 to 91. Or, just like we have 14, we have 28. Just like having 28, you have to locate dark green here to this one, to 84. So, acceleration. Just like the ladder routine in snake and ladder game. On the other hand, if the player step on animal pictures, then he would decelerate. For instance, if on dog, like this, no way for him or for the player to go up. For instance, if on dog picture, it's like this, no way for the player to step up. Instead, if animal picture, that would mean deceleration. So from here, dog 50, 60, 17, stepping on the dog picture, that means you have to decelerate. If on dog picture, then he would go down to the other dog picture on the quadro board. No way for that player to go up. Again, just like the manner of taking the game in snake and ladder. I'd like to emphasize mechanic number 5. This means that you have to consider 2 die to throw against the quadratic board. To throw against the quad throw board simultaneously. The numbers of the first dice correspond the 4 categories. The first one, square property, factoring method, completing the square, and quadratic formula. Except numbers 5 and 6. If the player has drawn these numbers 5 and 6, then he has the privilege to choose among the categories. Don't forget the categories are square property, factoring method, completing the square, and quadratic formula. For number 5, this one, he has to choose either be equations from category 1 or 2. Likewise with number 6. Category 3 or 4 is the option. Furthermore, in the second dice, since you have 2 die, in the second dice, all the numbers on it are considered because each number represents each category. We have 6 equations. We have 6 prepared quadratic equations by the facilitator. So the facilitator has to prepare like this. 6. Alright, so we have 6 for square property, 6 for factoring method, 6 for completing the square, and 6 for quadratic formula. By the way, about the list of quadratic equations, these are expected to be confidential. That is, no one should know the included equations for the game. As being said, it should be non-biased. It could be prepared and completed by the facilitators or the coaches in as much as possible prior to the competition or activity. Of course, it would be practicing fairness and honesty.